Hey, welcome back to Real Agents. This is Casey. I'm here with Joe and Karl today. Thanks, guys. So there's been, as always, a lot going on in the real estate marketplace. And I kind of wanted to start off with something that is really, I think this is the most newsworthy thing going on for maybe the last 2 months. And it's the fact that the inventory in the greater metro Atlanta marketplace is really low. Joe, you did a data set a couple days ago where it actually showed that we're looking at about 2.2 months of inventory left for the greater metro Atlanta marketplace based on FMLS. And what are you guys experiencing out in the marketplace? What are you seeing when you're representing buyers? What are you seeing when you're representing listings? So, Joe, let's start off with you.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. What I'm seeing from the buyer's perspective is that the buyers really have to be ready if they see something they like to move forward on it that day. There's no...
And by ready, what do you mean?
I mean to write an offer. If they like it, they need to be ready to write an offer if they see something they like.
And how would they be ready to write an offer?
Well, I mean, they're going to be pre-approved everything. I'm not going to work with them unless they are ready. When we go out and we find something we like, if they're not in a position to write an offer, then in my book, they're not ready to be out looking.
Yeah, and they really, I think a lot of buyers, they just don't realize that really the first step is making sure that you are going to know how you're going to pay for the house, because if you find the house, you're not going to have the opportunity to start the pre-qualification process, because that could take 4 days to a week to have done. And we're seeing houses with the inventory as low as it is right now, where they're on the market, they're super hot, and they could be under contract in less than 24 hours.
Exactly. And then on the listing side, the same thing. Every buyer that has come to one of my listings, okay, that an offer has come in, they are already approved. It's not even a pre-approval. I'm seeing very little contingencies, if any. A lot of times I actually had an offer come in from a lender who was they were able to waive the financing contingency because the approval process was so strong. It was just contingent on an appraisal. So good agents out there that are representing their buyers are really preparing their clients to be able to get a step up or to try to take advantage of the situation and the way the market is currently is. So.
Karl, you represent a lot of listings. Are you having great success with trying to sell stuff, and are you seeing buyers agents kind of bend over backwards to win the deal?
Yes, it's kind of a unique thing on the listing side of things in that we're in a rapidly appreciating market. I was looking at, a year ago to today, even up to 600,000, 700,000, 800,000, and depending on your market, we're almost 10% up from where we were last year, which is creating problems. And this is what I'm telling everybody when they're talking about listing their home is sellers actually have homework to do now. I need a list of everything you've done to your home over the last 5 years with prices and anything down from I replaced the toilet all the way up to painted, all the way to we finished a basement, so I can help justify the price. Because we may get 6 and 7 offers that drive the price, and then we have appraisal issues on the backside. And that's what I'm seeing for myself and across the office is appraisers are kind of pumping the brakes a little bit on the market, which can affect things. And having those lists of things you've done to the home, having comparables ready to go to provide to an appraiser, and also when you're accepting an offer, the days of paying $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 in closing costs for a buyer to help them are pretty much over, because you're not going to get the max price that you want plus be able to give them that. So when you're looking at offers, instead of looking at, hey, this is the highest price that we can get, I think it's more important to look at who's the most qualified, who's putting the most money down on the house. That way, if there is an appraisal issue, they can swing it around a different way instead of a 20% down, a 15% and pay over. Appraisals are massively problematic right now, but if you go into it prepared and ready, you can really make a lot of money on your home.
I think there's a lot of people out that they think that because the marketplace is so sided towards sellers right now that they can do a for sale by owner and save on the commission and stuff like that. But what they're discounting is the stuff that they don't know about. The fact that even though the appraisal that's being done on the buyer's side is supposed to be kind of air gapped from the process and remain objective, a good listing agent is going to be required to fight for getting you the most amount of money, because if that appraisal comes back any less than what you've got it under contract for, your options really are to terminate the deal or go for what the appraisal says. And you've got to have somebody that has the experience, that knows how to present information to an appraiser in a way that is respectful to the process, but also focused and educated, so they can make a case that will win over the appraisal to the purchase price that you've got on the house.
Real world example, I literally had an appraisal come back $31,000 below purchase price. We were under contract at $330. Appraisal came back at $299. I was able to pivot that buyer, I'm representing the listing, pivot that buyer to a different lender, a different appraisal, and we actually got that appraisal to come in over contract value.
Yep.
So from appraiser to appraiser, lender to lender, we were able to get a $31,000 difference taken care of with extensions, working with everybody to get the most money for the seller and get a buyer into a house they really wanted.
Yeah, and on that note too, I have seen that a couple of times too. So I think we are starting to turn the corner a little bit with appraisers being more realistic to what market value is. And it always happens whenever you have a big increase in prices like that, like Karl was talking about. It does take them time to kind of catch up. We kind of see those trends way ahead of the fact than most appraisers are going to see.
There's definitely a lag, and the lag is there's less inventory, so there's less transactions going through on a monthly basis, which means that there's less information that the appraiser has to make a educated opinion on what they think the property is. So because of the marketplace being lower than it is, we see prices jump. In March, we saw them jump at about a rate of 5%. But the thing is the appraisals are lagging behind because they don't have the data to support it. But buyers are out there fighting over each other to get the house, which is going to naturally raise the price on it.
And we'll continue. I mean, every 30-day period that goes by, we're seeing them catch up a little bit more. And luckily, we've had the price increases for the last, 5-6 months, where it's been continually growing. So I think we'll see that balance out a little bit more.
I have a deal based on practical knowledge where a very sought after house, I have a buyer who's interested in it. They're legitimately thinking about going in with zero due diligence period on the house. When we went in, we had a very positive experience with the house. All of the appliances and everything, I was able to ID the age on it, and the age was within the last 4 years on water heater, HVAC, and all that sort of stuff. Nice. And it's one of those houses where you walk in and it's just apparent that the people took very good care of the house, and it's very popular. It's underpriced. The listing agent knows what they're doing about listing the property. What do you guys think about the not necessarily monetary offering positions, like doing zero due diligence, zero financing contingency period? How powerful is that?
It's hugely powerful. As somebody that does mostly listings, if somebody comes in and says, look, we're taking the house as is, no contingencies, that's worth so much more to me and potential sellers than, hey, we're going to come in $5,000 over asking price. Knowing that the deal's done the minute the ink's signed and there's nothing else that can transpire realistically that would stop it from closing gives a seller a peace of mind that they can move on and put an offer in on a home of their own, which gives them much more bargaining power to say, hey, this is going to happen, so we can move forward here, and it gives their side a better, a better feeling as well. So I'm all for that kind of thing. Go in prepared. don't expect 2 weeks of due diligence like it was 10 years ago. If you're going to have a due diligence period, my recommendation is 5 days or less. Be prepared to go in with an inspector, everything ready to go in the first day, and get things done.
Like a SWAT team.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and with those contingencies, the buyers have to think about it as well, because anytime they limit their contingencies, they're limiting their ways out of a transaction, the natural breakpoints that are kind of built in to protect them in case something drastically wrong happens with the due diligence or something drastically wrong happens with the financing contingency period. Great points. So another topic that I wanted to kind of just touch on is I put a question out to the Real Agents audience about how do they know, if they're a buyer, if they were in the marketplace, how would they know that they found the right house? And I wanted to kind of briefly, while we still have time, field this question to you guys. If you guys were in the marketplace to purchase a house, how would you go about knowing that you found the right house? Karl, I'll start with you.
I look at things very differently. I'm a very realist type of person. Somewhat analytical, but I'm going to look at back end, because you don't know if you're going to be in a house for a year or 10 years. You don't know what your situation change or what's going to happen. So I want to make sure that it's a home that I can turn around in 2 years and sell for a reasonable profit. And then the other thing I really look at is the systems in the home. For me, I can deal with paint, fixtures, things like that, but a lot of homes in Georgia are going to have 2 to 3 air conditioning systems. A lot of homes are, 2 water heaters. There's a lot of things that you got to look at. That paint and cosmetics are great, but if you got $50,000 worth of systems to replace over the next 2 to 3 years, that to me is more important than a coat of paint.
A single HVAC system could be a $10,000 expense. Easily. You got 2 of them, that's $20,000, so on and so forth.
Even if you know people in the business.
Even if you know people in the business.
Yeah,
Joe?
I agree. I see that a lot. How I know, I agree. I look for the bones and the systems, and it's really no different than, when I list a property and I tell my clients the same thing. There is a lot more value in having double pane windows already put into an older house, having those HVAC systems replace the roof to where you know that. And on any resale, that's always going to hold more weight than just a cosmetic fix-up, because people would rather come in and do their own thing anyway in most cases. So I kind of go the same thing. I honestly, as analytical as I am when it comes into diving into the market, believe it or not, I also have a feeling when I walk into a house, and I can tell based off of a client's energy and my own energy if it's something that's going to work. So.
There's been so many times where I'll have clients that we've gotten to the point where we know that all the houses that we're looking at have the systems in place and they're well maintained and they've been put together, because that's just, we've developed that kind of edge. But you can't discount the emotional attraction that happens with houses. I've had so many clients where we'll walk into the kitchen or we'll walk into the master bedroom or the master bathroom, like a really lavish master bathroom, or just a really well-appointed backyard with an outdoor shower for the jacuzzi. That's really neat. And the husband and the wife, they'll share a look. And it's just I think we've all seen it before.
The look.
You'll just
the look. Yeah.
And it's really important. So, I think there's a lot that somebody that's listing a property can learn, which is, it's not just making sure that everything works and is up to date, but it's the touches that make any house a home.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So on that note, thank you guys very much for joining me again for another episode of Real Agents. And everybody out there, we'll talk to you soon. Bye. This is Casey Sears.
This is Karl Phillips.
This is Joe Eman.
And we're the Real Agents. Thank you so much for watching our content. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and tell a friend. We look forward to bringing you more in the future, and talk to you soon.